in Glasgow. So this is an action by Extinction Rebellion. You can also see from our photos that we've got the Green Party here in Folkestone, we've got Save Princess Parade, which is a local campaign group, and we've also got Greenpeace, who have come out with us today to demand that the G7 take climate change seriously. This is an action that has lasted 4 days, it's gone all the way down the country, and we're trying to get our communities together to promote community resilience, to really talk about climate change and what effect it's going to have on our communities, especially those around the coasts where flooding is going to be an increasing issue in the coming decades. So here at Folkestone we have some beautiful blue and red rebels who've been taking us all along the seafront from the picturesque harbour that many of you might know. And we've been walking past some crazy developments, I have to say. I'm not sure you can see it on the live stream because it's in the mist. Got some very, well, don't know about a sea view. That is literally on the coast out there, literally on the beach, and people here are rightfully worried that these developments will, they'll never see the light of day. Or at least when people end up moving into them, they won't be there for long because of the flooding that might occur, and also the sea level rise, which is going to be affecting these coastal areas. And a lot of wildlife and habitats are going to be damaged as well by making these homes. So that's one of many issues to do with climate change and the climate and ecological emergency that we're trying to raise awareness of today. So we've got about an hour on this live stream, and we're going to be visiting all of, well, maybe not all of your communities, but there's, like I said, about 100 communities taking part in this wave action, which is absolutely fantastic. It's been quite a mind bender to be putting this live stream together, and just so inspirational to see all of your content come in to us over the past few days. So we'll talk to some of the marchers at Folkestone a little bit later, but I think we're going to start with our day one, some of the recordings that we've received from Extinction Rebellion activists and our colleagues in different movements around the country. And that first one's going to be Barrow-in-Furness. Okay. Here we are back in Folkestone. Great to see that video from Barrow-in-Furness and the rebels there. So much creativity has gone into this action. Really just bowled over really by how much creativity people have put into their videos and their banners and their costumes to try and raise awareness of the climate and ecological emergency amongst communities we might not have talked to before, and actually within our own communities, which is really important. This is not just a metropolitan London-based movement. Extinction Rebellion wants to talk to all people around the country and represent them and have them join us, because this is all, climate and ecological emergency is going to affect all of us, and it's affecting all of us now. You'll see some of that in the videos, I'm sure, that we're going to show. In fact, I'm just going to try and get up off the beach, to be honest, so that I can see things a little bit better. But while I do that, I'm just going to say something about flooding. 1 in 6 properties in the UK at the moment are actually susceptible to flooding, and that's 2.4 million people who live in flood risk areas, and that's only going to get worse as sea levels start to rise. You only have to look at Wales, where we've got a village called Fairbourne, which is actually going to be decommissioned. It's a seaside village which it's just been decided that it's not worth saving any longer for the amount of people who live there. It's about 460 people will have to move out of that village because it's going to be taken over by the waves thanks to climate change. Our next video is coming from up in Scotland in Dundee, where they've done an action specifically aimed at the G7 nations who are just about to meet. They're telling them what they think of the G7's promises so far, those empty promises about climate change. Let's go see what Dundee's about.
This is XR Dundee. We're here in advance of the G7 summit on Friday. Basically are demanding the governments of the world and the G7 themselves are not doing enough to tackle the climate crisis. Here in Dundee, our action is part of a wave travelling across the UK all the way down to Cornwall. Our rebels, representing the G7, are having a tea party in the water outside the V&A. Because this patch of land, predicted by 2050 to be underwater, we've been tired of empty promises from politicians, from governments across the world, and from our own government about the promise of action, the promise of change, and yet we still find ourselves having to come out here and protest because what has been done is simply not enough.
3, 2. So thanks to Dundee for that really amusing action right in the middle of town for everyone to see. We're come back to Folkestone now, and where I've just met Mother Nature actually, who's been parading along the beach with us, and Mother Nature wanted to share a poem that she's written about what is it about Mother Nature?
It's about climate change, about building and about protecting nature. It's called Nature, Nature, What is Greater? The land and sea are crying for hope. They'll be denying of concrete jungles and loss of space. How will we survive with the destructive drive of councils spewing in our face? How needy are they? How greedy are they? How reliant are we on our land and sea? We are all aware, but they just don't care. Save the trees for the insects and bees. For us to survive, we must stay alive. Who will stand with me?
Thank you so much, Mother Nature. Who is standing with Mother Nature? We've got Save Princess Parade, who've joined us today. Thanks for joining us on our march with XR. Why have you come to add your voices today to this parade and to protest?
Yeah, we've come we've come to support the actions that XR are doing.
It's the microphone. I'll just hold it up to you.
We have been protesting for years about the development on Prince's Parade, which is a development that's planned. It's got planning permission for 150 houses, a swimming pool, shops, and a hotel near Hythe in Kent. And it's to be built on basically on the beach front, on the strip of land, which is very, very important for all kinds of nature and wildlife. And we just think it's a crazy idea for many reasons. One of them being that with climate change, the risk of increased flooding due to extreme weather events, overtopping from the sea, and the councils say that they've taken those things into account, but we don't agree. We think that the problem could be much worse than they believe. We think it's a waste of taxpayers' money to be building developments such as this on the seafront. The other issue is the cost in terms of carbon of actually building so many developments.
Absolutely. I'm wondering how many of these large developments that we're seeing. I had no idea that there was that big one back there. I don't know what that's called, but I showed it on this live stream just now. And how many of those homes are going to be sort of future-proofed with eco materials and the heating systems that they use and concrete and everything? So there's a lot to improve on there, isn't there?
Yeah, there definitely is. As far as I'm aware, I don't think there are any. There's no real necessity to. There's no real laws that say that buildings have to be using sort of green technologies or anything like that as such. As far as I'm aware, there are some Green Party members here that might be able to tell you a bit more about that.
Yeah, well, we'll go to them soon. We've got loads of videos to show, so thanks again for coming and sort of joining up, because this is what this action is all about for us. We really want to find out other people in the community who have similar concerns and band together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, solidarity.
Thank you very much. Right, that was great to hear from Save Prince's Parade. We are going to move on now to see what Edinburgh has to say. A few short photos from Edinburgh, right on the other side of the country.
That's great. Thank you.
No worries.
Big day for you. So much going on.
Yes. Cheers. Oh, we're going down there. Okay. Hi. Okay. Right, I've been slightly left behind by the procession, which is going back down onto Folkestone Beach now, where I think we're going to have some dancing to represent the Earth. So I'm going to go and find out what's going on down there, and I think we'll move on to our next clip. And I'm afraid I don't know which one that is. So it's Forest in Scotland, which has a lovely video, again talking straight to the G7.
When she comes to clean the cellar,
Okay. Oh yeah, that's something. Yeah. Hi again. So we are here just to remind anybody who hasn't been with us the whole time. We are here at Folkestone for the Make the Wave action. Lots of rebels here from around Kent have come to show their, well, I was going to say their support, but actually it's not support at all. They're here to show their disdain really for the lack of climate action that's going on from governments. And we're here to tell the G7 that we actually care about a lot more than just the old style economics when they meet in this coming weekend. We really want them to focus on building back better from coronavirus, but doing it in a green way that supports a transition to renewable technologies, to stop investing in fossil fuels. And we like to see some actual action behind these empty promises. So that's our demand today. We're going to see a video made specifically for the G7 by Fort William next, up in Scotland. So enjoy that while I go find out more about the action here. So this is what was happening at the seaside. We've got our red rebels and our blue rebel. Oh, I've just been very cold feet. They're walking into the sea to represent sea level rise that's happening around our country, all around the shores of Ireland. We're particularly vulnerable to climate change here, of course. But actually, we've had groups who are concerned about the environment and who've joined XR all around the world get involved with this action. We've had a group from Spain, in Malaga, the Netherlands, even as far off as Indonesia, a group in Makassar, and the Pacific Islands communities have also got involved to show their support for us in trying to raise awareness of people who are living on coastal communities all around the world, who are going to be the most vulnerable when it comes to climate change and sea level rise. So I'm wondering if we can actually, slightly off plan, move to our clips from Makassar now and the Netherlands, so we can see our international support and Extinction Rebellion all around the world. Repeat. Okay, so we're having a bit of trouble finding our Netherlands clip, but they had an amazing action where they were showing the G7 countries in a snail's race along the beach, showing how empty some of their climate promises are when there's so many other things that they're doing that are damaging the environment. A big focus of our weekend with the G7 talks coming up is that there are so many governments around the world who are still sponsoring fossil fuel companies to the tune of billions and billions of pounds, even though they're promising that they're going to go net zero. This isn't going to help. There are scientists, I did a live stream of it the other day with scientists who are saying that, you know, even if we go net zero now, it's actually too late for that. We need to make bigger cuts than just saying we're going to plant trees, we're going to invest in hydrogen and in carbon capture and storage. So we're saying to the G7 to stop investing in fossil fuels. Stopping investing in fossil fuels will, hopefully, stop the sea level from rising and flooding out our coastal communities. We haven't made it that far around our journey of the wave from Scotland to southern England yet, So we're going to cut now to Tynebrook, I hope I said that correctly, in Scotland for our next clip.
Is it very cold?
Hi, so we are back, let me get the frame sorted here. We're back in Folkestone, where we've had this culmination of our action of our red and blue rebels going very dramatically into the sea at Mermaid Beach. I'm going to talk to another local group now who's come to join XR at our protest today. Let's turn the camera around. Oh. Actually, no, I won't turn the camera around because then you won't get the sound. So I'm talking to the local Greenpeace group, and I'd like to know just if you can speak to here, why have you decided to come down today to the beach? What is your message?
Well, we support the action. We want to protect the oceans. Is that loud enough? We are also have a particular point about deep sea mining, which we are particularly anti, and bottom trawling, which is an evil thing to be doing. So we've come here to protect the oceans and to support XR and make the wave.
Thank you so much for being here, because like I said before with the other groups, we really want to link up.
Yes.
We've got so many numbers in different groups and we want to all come together and fight for the same cause. So thanks for coming in and being involved.
Are you XR?
Yes indeed. So, do you have anything else you'd like to add to that? Maybe a little bit about deep sea mining, because I know that Greenpeace did a really impressive action lately.
I'm very new, so I don't know a lot.
I can talk a little bit about it if you want.
Go with Claire, but I'm just here because I like being here. I support it.
As many of you may know already, that kelp is like the carbon sink in the ocean, and when you have deep sea mining it can destroy the kelp, and so it like makes an imbalance. It's like, you know, it's not just storing the carbon. So what the deep sea mining is for things like special metals and things that are used in phone batteries, car batteries, things like that, and it can just destroy ecosystems. So that's why we're doing this campaign about deep sea mining.
Thanks for telling me about that, because that's something I wasn't so aware of actually. Is there any of that going on in the UK?
I don't actually know where it's happening. I know it's happening around the world, but I don't know where exactly.
But bottom trawling is happening in the UK.
Is it?
Yes,
Yep.
all
Yeah.
around in UK waters. So
Yeah.
there we go. There've been I think 5 areas have been protected, but the remaining areas aren't.
Oh yeah, there was something
There was an action. They were dropping boulders,
Yeah, and Greenpeace has put large boulders or lumps of concrete on the bottom to stop bottom fishing, dragnet fishing.
Amazing action, I have to say. That's my personal opinion. I think that's the best thing that Greenpeace has ever done. Thank you so much for coming today and talking to me.
Giving us some of your airtime.
Okay, that's it for Greenpeace UK. One of our partners now, which is great that we're all coming together to show our concern about various aspects of the environment. And our next clip coming up, still from Scotland I believe, is from Arran.
The community of Arran Seabed Trust supports Make the Wave. We are living in the midst of a climate and biodiversity crisis. It is time that our world leaders stood up and took action now to save the livelihoods of our future generations. Sea level rise threatens coastal communities around the world, and here on Arran is no exception. Our school children gathered today to show where sea level could rise to in just 50 years. So by 2070, where they stand today, the sea could be over their heads. The future livelihoods of our children and grandchildren are on the line. Governments must confront vested interests and take urgent action now. We have been drowning in broken promises from our governments across the world for too long. Action must be taken. Together we can make a difference. Together we can turn the tide on climate change.
We've just got on the ticker along the bottom of the live stream saying creative finale. We are getting creative here at Folkestone. We've got some choreography from a contemporary dance group going on the foreshore right now. Quite a relaxed vibe here. Lots of different Folkestone based community groups coming together to reach out to other people on the beach. There's been quite a lot of leaflets being handed out and explanations about why we're doing what we're doing. So we're obviously very visible with our red and our blue rebels, but this is also a chance for people to connect within the movement, and I think that's happened this week all over the coast as we make the wave in 4 days from Scotland, north of Scotland, all the way down to the south coast. Moving along to Cornwall, where the G7 countries are meeting at Carbis Bay over the weekend. I've got some photos now for you from an action in Glasgow. Coming up from Glasgow. So more Blue Rebels in Glasgow. A large band of them have walked through the streets, and our Blue and Red Rebels are a creative response that I think was started in probably April 2019 when we had one of our large rebellions in London, and the creation has spread. I think people have really felt that it embodies some of the feelings that the really raw feelings that everyday people, especially those who have woken up to climate change, feel. Fear, doubt, sadness, regret, but also resolve. And this is one of the things we're doing, is trying to create resilient communities in this action going around the coast. We're going to head next to Morecambe Bay. ecological or not?
Yes.
Procession earlier in going into, and probably quite wet right now. Would you like to say anything about why you're here today and what you're hoping to achieve with this action?
Well, it's not just this action, it's the 80 actions which are taking place across the whole of the UK, starting in Scotland and coming all the way down here, and also taking place abroad. We had a marvellous one from The Hague yesterday, a snail race. And it's the combined effect of all the actions, which is what we just basically want to tell Boris. You haven't got any moral high ground. You're in the G7, and the other G7 leaders won't get fooled the same way as a lot of the public get fooled. You can't fool Joe Biden. You can't fool Macron, you can't fool Merkel, you can't fool us. Just tell the truth and, for goodness sake, act now.
Really heartfelt message there from one of our Red Rebels. Thank you for doing what you did today. It was really, really special to see. So we've still got loads of pre-recorded stuff to give you, so I'm going to try and stop talking so much. We're going to move on to see in County Durham.
Okay, so I'm joined here by Bill McCardle. And Bill, would you be able to tell us why there's a man sitting in the sea over here today?
Yes, this is an Extinction Rebellion event, and really what we're bothered about is climate change generally, and particularly sea level rise. Now, sea level is now rising faster than it's done in thousands of years, and the rate of sea level rise is going up as well. That will have practical effects for everybody, and you know, within lifetimes of people now.
So what's the representation then here?
We're contrasting the wise action of King Canute the Great, with who was surrounded by people who insisted on flattering him all the time. He lost patience with them, and he went down to below the high tide mark, asked for his throne to be set there, and said, look, if I tell the sea to stay, to hold back, it won't. You know, I know my limitations, and this is what he did. And the point he was trying to make was that there were things that he couldn't do. In the case of Boris Johnson, I mean, whereas Canute was truthful, he was insisting on getting the facts straight. You know, Boris Johnson has lied consistently and, you know, not shown no great regard for the truth.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. And what a wonderful way to represent that. And I can't believe he's going to sit there till that sea comes in. How wonderful. And we do have a representation of Boris here with his head in the sand. So if you could give the G7 one piece of advice or one request, what would it be?
We need to take climate change very seriously in a way that it hasn't been done at all. It's quite interesting, but one observer remarked that whereas during the pandemic about £12 trillion has been paid to react to the pandemic. I'm not suggesting that the pandemic's important, but climate change is far more significant. Climate change is going to affect us hundreds of years into the future. And up to now, the same bodies that have governments that have spent 13 trillion on the pandemic have spent rather less, only about 100 billion on serious climate change. It's very important. We need to address those problems now.
Fabulous, thank you so much.
The other thing to remember too is that we are running out of time. You know, we're already at the point where we may have gone past the point where there are feedback loops kicking in, which will mean that, you know, it'll be very much more difficult to stop climate change.
Absolutely. So we're down here on Sea and Beach protesting this. We've got some fantastic people joining in. Yeah, get involved up and down the country.
So we've come, we're back in Folkestone. The action's coming to a sort of gentle, we're coming towards the end of it, I think, but I've just, as we have some dances still going on, I've come to take a seat on the boulders here, and I've just seen I did not stage this, but I've just seen a bit of graffiti that says "Seize the Day" behind me. I think you can probably see that, with seas as in the seas are rising, and so are we. I just think that's great. We are not just representing the wave moving down the coast from Scotland to Cornwall, but on this live stream, but also another action which is also travelling all the way to Cornwall. It's called Blooming Greenwash, and it's a bike ride all the way from Shoreham by Sea in West Sussex to Cornwall. And the people who are doing this, they're going from site to site, so town to town. And they're staying in campsites along the way, and it all looks like just an amazing effort and something that, you know, would be like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, along with some of the classic Extinction Rebellion things that we do, such as samba, and I think we have a clip right now to show them on one of their stops along this route of Blooming Greenwash.
I make a declaration today. As I was going to St Ives, I met the G7 who told some lies. The promises they made were fine, but their actions took too much time. We want them to act much faster, for we wish our world to last her. Cease despoiling, stop it now, just speak to us, we'll tell you how. Now's the word and now's the time. To stand together, hands in line, take our best wishes as you ride, for you know well, truth's on our side.
Seems like you've had a light bulb moment, George.
I did.
Good luck. I think I feel inspired too now, by George. I'm going to have my own light bulb moment. I'm going to become pure again. And I'm going to start by collecting water for my sister riverways, and I'm going to take them with my beautiful friends here to the G7, and I'm going to have a powerful water healing ceremony to give those world leaders some pure thoughts and for them to stop all that greenwashing. Talking of green, I think I might go with this lovely young man here.
And I will finish by leading us in a little revolutionary song called Bella Ciao, if you haven't had enough of my dulcet tones already.
And it's a join-in song, finale.
Well, if you can speak Italian. Hang on, can you stop? Una mattina mi sono alzato. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'imbarazzo. We need to wake up, we need to rise up, we need to open up our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to stop right now. Partigiano, portami via. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Partigiano, portami via. Se mi sento di morire. We're on a planet has a problem. We need to open up our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. Make it greener,
Greenwash, and I didn't want to tell you too much about it because we actually have Bernie from Blooming Greenwash joining us live from his journey. So I'm wondering if we can patch him in now and talk as they make their way down to Cornwall. Hi there, Bernie. How's it going?
Hi Louise, it's going well. I'm actually at the side of the road while leaving the rest of the crew to carry on to do the actual water meeting ceremony. Let's start from the brilliant clip you've just played.
Where are you right now? How far have you got to go?
Oh, we've got about 18 miles to go before we get to the campsite in St Ives. We're going to stop over in Hale, which I think is about 13 miles away, and do another performance that you've just showed.
Brilliant. So did you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of the background behind this action, cycling all the way down from West Sussex to Cornwall?
Yeah, I think there's two things I'd like to say. One thing is the background to the whole Blooming Greenwash, but also to read a statement that the team would like to talk to at the introduction of doing the water ceremony. So I'll do the first thing right now, Louisa. So the whole point about doing the Blooming Greenwash is the idea that our leaders, the people who are trusted to do the right thing, are just literally greenwashing everything that they do. So they're trying to make out that they're doing good things for the community and they're doing good things for the climate, but in reality they're terrible at it. And we just want to make the point of travelling all the way, putting our life and soul on hold to get to St Ives to make that point.
Great, it must have just been such a fantastic experience. And what's the reception been like along the way from the public? Do you feel like you've been getting through to new people?
Oh, absolutely. So the major part of what we're doing is outreach. So in every town that we stop off, in places that we ride through, we talk to the public, we give them leaflets about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and the reception's been absolutely brilliant. We've had cars blowing the horns, people waving and congratulating us, and it's been so, it could bring a tear to your eye, honestly. It's been brilliant.
That is super, because that's one thing that we're always thinking about, is how do we draw more people into understanding the issues. So thanks so much for doing that, and I think I could say personally I'd love to join you next time. It sounds like a great way to spread the word.
The next time
I think we're going to have to, we've got so many Indeed, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. We've got a long way to go and it's November, but thanks so much for talking to us and have a great rest of your day. We're going to have to move on to Clacton next.
Bye
Take care,
everyone.
Bernie.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yep, so that was Blooming Greenwash, cycling from Clacton-on-Sea in West Sussex all the way down to Carbis Bay. And I'm sure they'll be really tired when they get there, which I think is scheduled for just a little bit later today. Our next clip now is to Clacton-on-Sea. We're going along the east coast now of England.
Here we are at Clacton-on-Sea, and we have Sandy Barnett with his head in the sand.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Oh, sorry. Feedback. Hi. Right, we're with Helen. I didn't know whether you wanted to say your name on camera, Helen. So Helen is one of the coordinators of the wave, actually, the entire wave, aren't you?
Yes, a friend of mine set it up in February. We were texting about sea level rise, and one of us said, let's get local groups involved, and the other said G7, and here we are. We've been around the country from Scotland right through down to Carter's Bay, so it's just grown exponentially. It's all about communities, it's all about resilience in the communities, it's all about building communities. You can see today here we had Greenpeace and we had not friends of the Edinburgh, the Green Councillors, all the Green Councillors around here were supporting us, so it's a really good start, something to build on.
Brilliant, and it's a way that people can be involved as well without having to go to Cornwall, which obviously we don't want to be travelling a huge amount at the moment. So that's the microphone. Just apparently the audio is a little bit quiet at the moment. Thank you, Helen, for organising this. It's been a great day. And a great 4 days actually, right, around the country.
I've been in tears for most of it, looking at all the wonderful things people have done. Just fantastic. The creativity has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing what people can do.
Absolutely, yeah. If you've been inspired by seeing this live stream or by seeing anybody off on the actions all around the country, please just talk to us. We're very contactable, we're very friendly. Get in touch, see how you could contribute. There's so many ways that you can be involved in Extinction Rebellion or any of the other groups represented today. So we're going to move to, we've got quite a few clips I think that we're going to show you still, and we're going to move on to, I'm not sure what the next one is, but we'll find out in a minute. South Bank. That was a treat from XR Baroque musicians finding out, classical musicians trying to do their part to raise awareness of the climate and ecological emergency. And I've totally forgot what we've got next coming up. Can you tell me, please? North Devon. We're going to go to North Devon, everyone. You've been here making the wave with XR, that's Extinction Rebellion in Folkestone. We've also had Greenpeace and the Green Party here and some local pressure groups with development. It's been a great team effort. Things are calming down now. but we've probably got a few pre-records for you to show you. There's just too many to show. We can't show everybody's, and if we haven't shown yours today, I'm really sorry. But the wave is going to continue tonight, but today's the final day. So we're going to see one from Southend now. So that was Southend, and we're back at Folkestone. Things are quite quiet again now, but we've had a great action day, packed here at Folkestone. We started off with Red Rebels processing around at the top of the harbour. We've come all the way down the boardwalk, along with people from all different green movements here in Folkestone, and we finished with the Red and Blue Rebels going out to sea in the pictures that you can see there. So it's been a great community event, and just before we ended I wanted to really tell you about why we're doing Make the Wave. I said at the beginning, but it's a community effort, and it's a way of bringing together communities to raise our resilience and raise our awareness really of the climate and ecological emergency and how it's going to affect everyday people, and it is affecting them now. We saw a few slides from Makassar in Indonesia earlier. There's a lot of coastal communities in the global south, which means that the poorer countries of the world who aren't really being supported to... Sorry, I'm getting some feedback here. They're not being supported by governments to actually to spend money on climate mitigation measures. So we're standing in solidarity with them. Really, it's not just about Great Britain, we're particularly vulnerable because of sea level rise. But there's countries around the world. Think about Bangladesh. A huge amount of that country is going to be underwater by the end of the century because it's so lying anyway. And these are the people who can least afford to change their ways, to emit less, because they want to develop as well, and have the same opportunities that we've had in the global north. So there's so many aspects to the climate and ecological emergency, and we've chosen to focus on sea level rise today because that's something that we can use to unite the entire of Great Britain. And I'm hoping that you've really enjoyed looking at the different reactions and how people have used their creativity to represent their communities, how they feel about the impending climate change, and to send a message to the G7 countries to say, really, this is something that's at the top of our agenda. It's not just London, it's not just Manchester or the large cities, it's people everywhere in small communities. We are worried, we're scared, we need you to act. So put your money where your mouth is. Stop climate change. We're going to see one last pre-recorded video from Portsmouth.
So what are you doing in the sea?
Well,
we're fine, aren't we? We're all right.
It's not really coming in.
It's getting a little bit high.
No, I don't think it is.
We'll be fine, you know, 20-50
Are you sure? Because it's getting pretty high.
No.
I mean, even my shoes are getting a bit wet now.
No, we're very, very
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, it's getting a bit warmer, but we like it warmer.
Oh, you like it warmer?
Oh, yeah, a bit
Okay. Okay.
Nice and cooling, isn't it?
It does. My feet are getting a bit chilly now. I'll give you that. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's going to warm up later today.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's a good thing, climate change.
Well, your donuts are nice and dry.
It's about 10 degrees of warming, right?
I don't know what everyone's on about, really. What's the problem?
We're fine, we've got our tea, we've got our...
Got our air conditioning if it gets too bad. So, yeah.
All right then, I'll leave you to it. Okay. Nice to meet you. So it's getting a bit deeper now.
Oh, yeah, it's not that high.
Are you sure?
I don't know what that problem is, really.
I mean, it's up to your hips now.
No, I think so.
I think I'm worried.
Got the facts there, right?
Are you sure? Okay, have I not got the right facts? Okay.
My cigar's gone out. Oh, bugger. My cigar's gone out. Every keep I can light.
Okay, you sure you're not going to get swept away?
Oh, no. It's fine.
Okay.
So we're back at Folkestone. I think we're going to leave Portsmouth with their rapidly sinking crockery. Hope you didn't lose any of that, guys. Please don't be like our actors in Portsmouth. Please, I recognise the problem. It's scary. It's really scary. But we want to create a future for our grandchildren and for the animals that live on this planet, for everything that lives together in, I don't want to say perfect harmony. There can never be perfect harmony, but this is our responsibility to step up and to preserve life for the future generations. So thanks for joining us for Make the Wave. I hope that's inspired you. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what other rebels have been doing around the country over the last 4 days. I hope it's given you an idea of maybe putting some pressure on the G7. There's lots of things that you can do, either with pressure groups like us, or by writing to members of Parliament, writing to Boris Johnson even, and making sure that we just show that climate change and biodiversity loss are big priorities, and that this is something that we should be spending our money on. This is like the G7 is a kind of dress rehearsal for what the powerful nations are going to be discussing when it comes to COP26 in Glasgow in November, which is the big climate talks, the biggest climate talks we've been told in 2021 since the Paris Agreement in 2015. So we want to make sure that we are actually upholding these 1.5 centigrade targets that have been put in place for everyone around the world. Currently, we're nowhere near actually getting to these targets, so more action is needed. If you think so too, then please get involved to raise the profile of these really, really important issues, the most important issues of our time. Thanks for joining us on our XR UK live stream, and please share if you have anybody that you know that you think might be interested and moved by all of these actions that you've seen today. Let's spread the word. Thanks for watching, and I'm just going to finish with this beautiful piece of graffiti that I found. Seize the day, everyone.